Don't look now, but this Rangers offense might actually, finally, be back.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the World Series champion Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 11 seasons, including all 6 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, before we get into the Rangers' absolute whooping of the Padres on Tuesday night, this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Now, the Rangers have themselves a winning streak, and a streak where they have been hitting exceptionally well over, well, the last 2 games. But for how anemic this offense has been, just 2 games in a row of downright great offense is a beautiful sign. I mean, combining for 18 runs over a 2-game span is a joyous thing that we have not seen very much of this year. And the man of the hour, the man of the night, the man of the day, whatever, past couple of days, Nathaniel Lowe, have yourself a freaking day. With Cory Seager still hurt, still not going on the IL, still sure that nothing is broken, thank the good Lord, but still not ready to be in the lineup, Nathaniel Lowe jumps up back to the 3-hole hitter that he was last year, in behind Josh Smith, and you have a top 5 looking very nice of Marcus Semien, Josh Smith, Nathaniel Lowe, Adolis, Garcia, Wyatt Langford, most of whom are swinging it at least okay right now. And Nathaniel Lowe goes and has himself a fantastic multi-homer game. His first multi-homer game of the season, only the 3rd Ranger to have a multi-homer game. Before this past weekend, the only one to do so was Corey Seager, and then Derek Hill joined the club, and now Nathaniel Lowe. I mean, look at this. Just homers all around, not just homers, but extra base hits, a double from Heim, 2 doubles from Leo Taveras, a double from Adolis Garcia, a double that should have been a triple probably from Wyatt Langford, and a double from Jonathan Ornelas, which is his first big league extra base hit. What a delightful showing of offense. What an absolutely delightful game to win, to crush somebody, to start hitting like the Texas freaking Rangers. We all know this team can be. They all know they can be, that they just haven't been so far this year. I mean, it's been so maddening to watch as fans, seeing this team that hit the crap out of everything and everybody last year, was such an incredibly deep and talented lineup that even when 1 or 2 or even 3 guys around up and down the lineup were going through slumps, there was enough offense to go around and to keep hitting and to keep scoring. And this year, well, it's just that everybody decided to go into a collective funk, or maybe not decided to, but just did go into a collective funk all at the same time, which made it very hard to score runs and therefore win games. And that's why the Rangers are still 7-game winning streak away from hitting 500. They're still quite a ways away from that, and I would like for them to do that and then win another 7 games after that. But just seeing this offense get some life, get some juice, get some extra base hits, especially Nathaniel Lowe. He is, I think, such a key to this offense. He was such an incredibly big part of this offense last year, even when he wasn't doing incredibly well. Even when he was having a bit of a down season. He would always put together quality at-bats. He would always, he'd be, for the most of the season, was decent lineup protection from Corey Seager, who was MVP caliber. He would be able to hit lefties okay. Not as much last year, not as much hitting for power, something that he did incredibly well in his Silver Slugger season. But if Nathaniel Lowe can get back to around what that hitter was, second half Nathaniel Lowe from 2022, if he can approximate that, even for a month or 2 months, that would be so incredibly huge for this offense. I mean, this Rangers lineup had just had so much of nothing outside of Josh Smith and Corey Seager. I mean, even Marcus Semien has been in a massively prolonged slump. Adolis Garcia, after an incredible April, massively prolonged slump. Wyatt Langford took him a little bit of time. He's starting to figure some things out. Jonah Heim's offense just has kind of dried up, and Leote was the number 9 hole hitter, and I feel like most of the ire was put on him. Which, to be fair, he had a very massively prolonged slump as well. But again, he's the number 9 hole hitter. But when everybody's slumping, everybody gets some extra lumps. Everybody gets some extra vitriol and mean tweets and mean things said about them on podcasts. That's just the way things go. But seeing this offense humming like this, not just doing it for one game, doing it for 2 games, and having a little bit of a prolonged increase of power from Nathaniel Lowe, who before the last 7 games had 2 home runs on the season. Now, in the last 7 games, he's got 4 home runs. He's hitting in the 350s. He's slugging .821 in his last 7 games. And even if you look at his last 15, he's started to turn that power on for sure. I mean, he's hitting over 300 over his last 15 games, slugging nearly 600 at .589. Just getting those extra base hits, hitting the ball with authority, driving it, not being too patient with his at-bats, sacrificing a little bit of that walk, a little bit of that on base for some slug, because this man has got power. He's got power in spades. I mean, in terms of raw power, he might have the most raw power of anybody on this Rangers team. But in games, it doesn't always come out. It doesn't always show itself. A little bit like Nomar Mazara was as a prospect. Just all the raw power in the world, but just could not get and do damage on pitches that he should have done damage on. And Lowe has started to turn that around a little bit as of late. And they need him to keep turning it around and keep turning around. And other guys get hot and other guys break out. And, other guys they need everybody, every bat in this lineup. I talked about it after the breakout game from Derek Hill and thinking, well, is that going to mean less time for Leote? Possibly. We saw Derek Hill as a DH in this one because Derek Hill's got a hot bat right now. And there have been so few hot bats. If anybody at any level starts swinging it a little bit hot, they're going to get a look. They're going to get some time in this lineup because the lineup has been just so anemic that how can you not give them some time in this lineup? Heck with how Marcus Semien has been doing. I mean, part of me thinks giving him a day or 2 off to get Josh Smith in there whenever Josh Young comes back. Maybe Smith will play a little bit of second base. Probably not, because it's Marcus Semien, and he's going to play through those slumps because that's exactly what Marcus Semien does. But just seeing any one bat in this lineup start to heat up, any one person, especially one with the offensive potential like Nathaniel Lowe, is a massively, massively good sign for everybody else in this lineup. Because the more hot bats, the more carefully pitchers are going to have to pitch to those guys, and the more good pitches that the other guys who might not be hitting well are going to get, which might break them out of their slumps. It's just a massive waterfall effect of once one guy gets going and then it gets contagious and contagious and contagious. And that was what made this team so good, is that their hitting was contagious. Their good at-bats were contagious. Their hitting for power, it was contagious. Hitting with runners in scoring position. They didn't even do that in this game. They still scored 7 runs. They were just 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position. And they still dropped 7 runs in this one. That's what the magic of extra base hits will do. That's what the magic of one guy having a multi-homer game. And by the way, congrats to Josh Smith getting on base twice in front of Nathaniel Lowe for those home runs that might not have been moonshots. But coming up, we're going to talk about why they were so important and why they show it's not just a small thing for Nathaniel Lowe getting hot. Right after this word from our sponsors. This episode of Locked On Rangers is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you've always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're even talking about your rival cities. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival city. If you want to go check out some of the other AL West teams, you want to go book a trip to LA, you want to go see a game against the Angels in Anaheim, you might even see some Rangers wins, an absolutely beautiful stadium there. If you want to go up to the Pacific Northwest and check out Seattle, I still have not been to T-Mobile Park, but I really need to look at Booking.com to go get myself a trip out there and go knock another park off my bucket list because, those are going to be some fun games against the Seattle Mariners late on this season. Or if you want to check out the final games of Oakland Coliseum as a Major League Baseball venue, the Rangers will be playing in them in late September. So the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city. Like I said, even your rivals. So book today on Booking.com, on the site, or on the Booking.com app. This show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the best way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, concerts, and comedy and theater near you. If you want to go take those summer trips I was just talking about, looking for how to get your tickets, you're looking for the best deals, the best way to get these tickets, the easiest way, and, the most convenient way, and the cheapest. Well, Game Time is your way to get it. You got last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, all kinds of different deals. They've also got the lowest price guarantee, where Game Time will credit you 110% the difference. Game Time's also got ticket coverage, so your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Now, one of the things with Nathaniel Lowe that he has struggled with in his big league career is against fastballs. Not just fastballs, but high velocity. And the thing that was most impressive of his home runs, and the first home run was a mistake changeup that was up and out of the zone a little bit, towards the away corner, that he pulled and yanked for a pull side home run. Seeing him, drive that pitch and pull it with authority. Great thing to see from Nathaniel Lowe. It was a really good home run, very well hit. But the one that impressed me the most was his second home run of the day. Came off of Dylan Cease. Both of them came off of Dylan Cease. A very, very good pitcher. Seeing him homer off a good pitcher, also very nice. But the thing that impressed me the most about this home run, worked himself into a 3-1 count, was patient, even took 3-0, didn't swing at it, even though it was a fastball right down the heart of the plate, 97.5 miles an hour from Dylan Cease. Normally, a lot of hitters, they crush those kinds of fastballs, but with velocity 96 and above, it's been a problem for Nathaniel Lowe. Not only hitting it, just making contact, and let alone making contact with driving it with authority. But on the 3-1 pitch to Nathaniel Lowe, they got a fastball, 96.5 miles an hour, a little bit below where the first pitch was, but, still middle in, and he drives it to the opposite field, 101.5 miles an hour, and over that left field fence for a home run. A home run on a 96.5 mile an hour fastball. That's the thing with Nathaniel Lowe. If he can do that, if he's hitting that pitch with authority to the opposite field for a home run, there's a lot fewer ways to attack Nathaniel Lowe. Heck, there aren't very many ways to attack Nathaniel Lowe. If he's hitting fastballs, he already hit breaking balls incredibly well. He also hit off-speed pitches exceptionally well for his career. That first pitch he hit for a home run was an off-speed pitch, and he absolutely crushed those. This year, he hadn't been doing that because he had been so off with the fastball. He was getting so many fastballs that pitchers just knew that this is the only way I need to attack him because he can't catch up. He can't adjust. He can't, hit those pitches, let alone with authority. And if he's doing this against one of the better fastball pitchers in our game, one of the guys with the highest velo, in the game. This is a huge, huge development and a hugely great sign for Nathaniel Lowe, not only now but moving forward. Now, I'm not saying he's just always going to crush every fastball 95 and above from now on. I'm not saying that. But seeing yourself get that kind of a swing, do that kind of damage on those pitches that you struggle with, it has such ripple effects for him and for this lineup that has struggled with pitchers like Cease, guys who throw it incredibly hard. They've struggled to do damage on fastballs, which is not a great thing for a lineup to struggle with. And pitchers have attacked them as such. But tonight, Dylan Cease could not attack this team. He could not take advantage of this team. And they had a season-high 8 extra base hits on the night. Just a collective, dominant group effort, the likes of which we hadn't really seen so much this year. This was not just Nathaniel Lowe hitting a couple pitches over the fence for 4 runs, which, granted, after that first home run, that was all the runs that the Rangers needed to score because they shut out the Padres 7-0. We'll talk about Nathan Eovaldi bouncing back after a rough start against the Brewers a little bit later on in the show. But it wasn't just him. Everybody in this lineup outside of Derek Hill got a hit. Leody Taveras faced 3 times in this one with a couple of extra base hits, something he really hadn't been doing this year. His 10th and 11th doubles of the season. Seeing Adolis Garcia drive a pitch with authority. Seeing White Langford continuing to elevate the ball and hit it with authority. Great signs for this offense, up and down, because they've got not only Marcus Semien in a prolonged slump, they're not sure exactly when Corey Seager is going to be back. They're not sure exactly when Josh Young is going to be back. And they need every single bat that they can get. Also not entirely sure when Evan Carter's coming back, but that seems like a little bit lesser tier of a problem of not having Seager and Young and having Marcus Semien in the midst of a month-ish long massive skid. They need every single bit of offense they can get. We've seen what Wyatt Langford has been doing. We've seen what Josh Smith has been doing pretty much all year long. Getting Jonah Heim going a little bit, getting anything out of Derek Hill is great. Getting bonuses from guys down onto the lineup in Leody Taveras is huge. And I think the reason that Leody Taveras got a lot of slack, and I think the reason why when Leody was really, really struggling, it made such a difference. And having Leody and Marcus Semien struggling just really did a number on this offense, because one of the reasons this offense did so incredibly well last year is because literally 1 through 9, they were so good. And when this offense was at its best, it was, Leody Taveras is such a streaky hitter. And when he was on one of those hot streaks, and you had him getting on base and, stealing second base or getting to second on a double or getting to third, getting in scoring position for Marcus Semien, for Cory Seager, and the rest of the top of this lineup, it makes them so much more dangerous. As opposed if you just have, guys putting up numbers like David Schwindel had been putting up in the number 9 hole. Or like before this, what Jonathan Ornelas had done. By the way, Jonathan Ornelas has had so few plate appearances in his major league career, despite being on the roster and just coming in for a bunch of pinch hit appearances. He has now played in 11 major league games and has 10 career at-bats and a career OPS of 630 now. Last year was 393 in his 7 at-bats. Now he's got 3 at-bats on the year. He's got a 1167 OPS because that's how little Jonathan Hernandez had been playing. Not Jonathan Ornelas, excuse me. Not Jonathan Hernandez. Jonathan Hernandez has not played the field, but Jonathan Ornelas had been playing the field. How little he'd been actually getting to hit, despite playing the field occasionally. But they need everything from this offense. They need everything from everybody, from this offense, from this pitching staff, from the starting rotation to the bullpen. The Rangers need every single bit of their juice because this is going to take a kind of miraculous run. The Mariners built themselves a very big lead in this division. Heck, in the last couple weeks, the Astros have almost cut a lot of ground off of that lead as well and jumped the Rangers, where the Rangers had been ahead of them for most of the year. It's not the case anymore. They're still close. The Rangers are still closer to the Angels than the Astros in the standings. That's not somewhere that you want to be. Hopefully the Rangers can change that because their last 6 games before the All-Star game are at Anaheim and at Houston, where the Rangers really do enjoy playing against Houston. But every series from now until the trade deadline is almost must win. You take the first one against the Padres, go take the second one. You have a massive starting pitching advantage in the second game of this one. So go take the win the series, then get greedy, get the sweep, keep this momentum going. Keep this lineup momentum going, because you need every single bit of good juju, good vibes, good momentum that you can get, because there has been so little of it for the last month and a half when you wore yourself down to being 8 games out of the wild card, out of the AL West. So keep it going. Don't stop. And keep riding starts like this from freaking Nathan Eovaldi. Coming up, we'll talk about what Nathan Eovaldi did in this one and a little bit of rehab news from guys starting a rehab assignment tonight. Right after this word from our sponsors. The show is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, because unlike other apps, on PrizePicks it is just you versus the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community. If you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every week, from lowering select players' stat projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit, or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks in as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. So download the PrizePicks app and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Now, the Rangers were coming off a great pitching performance and a great offensive performance on Sunday Night Baseball, with Andrew Heaney having his best start of the season, and Nathan Eovaldi coming off of a rough start against the Brewers where he allowed a grand slam. He allowed what was ruled an inside the park home run, even though it should have absolutely just been a single. Don't need to get more into that, but a start where he should have been better. He will tell you that. He'll be the first one to let you know that. Still pitched 7 innings in that game, but this one, the Rangers needed him to be every bit the Nathan Eovaldi that he can be. Every bit the best version of himself, and it was really surprising seeing him not come through for the Rangers in that one, because the Rangers scored enough in that one to what they should have had a win. They absolutely should have had a win. It was Nathan Eovaldi versus Dallas Keuchel. The Rangers should have won that game, and it should not have been a 6-game losing streak. But that was what happened. And Nathan Eovaldi, the thing that has been so good about him, so impressive, so necessary about him, is him stepping up in these huge moments, whether it's the playoffs, whether it's the regular season last year when DeGrom went down, of him just carrying this team and pitching so deep into games last year, early on in the season when the bullpen was at its most terrible. Nathan Eovaldi steps up when the Rangers need him most, and that is exactly what he did in this one. 7 shutout innings, 6 strikeouts, no walks, no home runs, no runs, and just 1 hit. Just 1. That's it. Only 2 hits for this Padres offense for the entire game. The entire game. This was clinical pitching from the Rangers, and they gave him an early lead. 2 runs in the bottom of the first, 1 run in the bottom of the second, 2 runs in the bottom of the third, 1 run in the bottom of the fourth. That is the thing that I loved about the offense tonight. It wasn't just coming from one guy, and it wasn't stopping after they got a couple of runs. So many times this offense has, gotten 1 run in the first inning, 1 run in the second, or just a couple of runs early on in this game, the first 1, 2, 3 innings, and then just gone to sleep. Clocked out for the night. We're done. That's it. And no more offense from us tonight. And it's been the reason this Rangers team has lost so many games in the 6th, 7th inning. The offense just cannot hit. It doesn't matter what pitchers are being thrown for in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th innings. These comebacks just have not happened because this offense just goes to sleep after the first 3 innings usually. They didn't do that in this one. Nathan Eovaldi coming up absolutely massive for the Rangers in this one, and not just coming up massive. And it wasn't a crap ton of swing and miss. It wasn't the most premium of premium velocity. His velo is down 0.3 miles an hour. His average fastball velocity, it's still 95.3 miles an hour. It's around what it was for most of the year last year. He's still very effective there. Splitter was still very, very effective. Only 7 swings and misses for him in this one. But just getting weak contact, getting early outs, and pitching deep into this game, heck, he probably could have gone another inning if the Rangers wanted him to, but they'd already thrown 92 pitches to get through 7 innings, and the Rangers had a 7-0 lead at that point, so he said, why bother? There's no need. There's no need to test it. Let's save a little bit of his arm. Save him a little bit from having to run him into the ground like the Rangers did last year early on in the season, because they needed every single pitch, every single inning, every single out they could get from Nathaniel Eovaldi. And right now, they might not need him to absolutely throw 100, 200, 305 pitches every 5th day, because they're getting a little bit closer to getting a fully healthy rotation, because Tyler Mahle started his rehab assignment today. What an exciting moment for the Rangers. We are in July, and here he is on a mound in Round Rock through 2 innings for the Round Rock Express against the Space Cowboys, Houston's Space Cowboys AAA affiliate. Only threw 2 innings, like I said, struck out 1, didn't walk anybody, only allowed 1 hit, threw 19 pitches, 12 of them were for strikes. Solid outing. Seeing him get back out there, seeing him get out there on a mound, means we're just that much closer to having one more guy in this rotation, one more helpful arm. And with the way this rotation has been as of late, I mean, who is going to be the guy who is in this rotation? I'd like to see, I very much like to see a bounce back game from Jon Gray tomorrow, because he has been really, really rough in 2 of his last 3 starts. And it's starting to lead to some questions of, is he going to be the short straw that's drawn and moved to the bullpen? I mean, Heaney just had his best outing of the season. Right now, Michael Lorenzen is pitching out of his mind. He's right now the Rangers' leader in pitcher baseball reference WAR at 1.6. Next guy is Kirby Yates. Actually, it might be Nathaniel Eovaldi. They haven't added what he did in this start just yet, as I am recording this at 10:06 p.m. Baseball Reference doesn't update till the morning. But still, Lorenzen's been great. Heaney's been pretty darn good. Scherzer's back, looking like himself. Nathaniel Eovaldi, absolutely not going in the pen. But the Rangers are still quite a ways away there. They're still a little bit away from a return from Corey Seager and Josh Jung. Corey Seager, the news is a little bit better, a little bit more positive and optimistic there, because he has been swinging a bat. He is day-to-day at this point. They're feeling much better about him. Could see him at some point in this series. Not entirely sure, but just avoiding that broken wrist. That is the worst-case scenario for, it seems like, almost any hit by pitch outside of obviously a head injury. Those are absolutely terrifying. But in terms of the long-term prognosis, we've seen what's happened with Josh Jung and him missing. I believe now we are at the halfway point in the season, if we are not past it at this point. Or at least we're past the halfway point. And I think we are past the point where Josh Jung has missed officially half of the season to this point. Jung has still not swung a bat since his rehab assignment ended, since he has been with the Rangers. He's still taking it day by day, still a little tender in that wrist, but still there is no setbacks or anything like that. They are just waiting for the inflammation to go down, waiting for him to feel 110%. But as soon as you add him back into this lineup, I mean, right now after an offensive night like this, and seeing what they're getting from guys like Derek Hill at times, seeing Wyatt Langford heat up like this, seeing Nathaniel Lowe heat up like this, seeing what Josh Smith has done all year long, it makes you feel much more encouraged about the process that this offense is going through, and the fact that they will and can, and like I said, hopefully will get back to a little bit closer to what they were doing last year offensively. I mean, this doesn't have to be, with how the rotation has been and how much better the back end of the bullpen has been, this offense doesn't even need to be back to what they were doing last year. They don't need Corey Seager to have a 1,000 OPS. They don't need Marcus Semien to have an OPS over 800. They don't need Adolis Garcia to hit 40 home runs. They just need everybody to be a little bit more than a little bit better than they've been so far. And there's no reason to think they aren't capable of that. If not all doing it at the exact same time, but just collectively, progressively, over the course of the next few weeks, just improving bit by bit by bit. And stringing together a couple games like this, just different guys in this lineup starting to figure things out, starting to drive the ball with authority, starting to, do some damage and work patient at bats and not get too frustrated and start to look like the offense last year that, always trusted the next man up. Would never throw away an at bat. They would be aggressive, but selectively aggressive when the hitter was a guy who did that well. Being hitters that played to their strengths, that knew their game plan, stuck with it, and fought it out. And occasionally guys would have slumps, and occasionally the offense collectively would have slumps, but they'd work through it and they'd figure it out and they'd turn it around. And they turned it on the most important time against the best pitching in baseball at the most difficult time to hit, and they did so. They willed themselves to a title with these bats, these exact same bats that just have not been turning it on so far this year, but obviously have that in them. It's been a rough stretch, and this is by no means the turning point of the season. Maybe that game against the Orioles on Sunday Night Baseball, maybe that was the turning point of the season. Or, I don't know, maybe it was that series against Kansas City. Maybe that was really what turned the turning point. I don't know. But at a certain point, every single game, every single at-bat, every single inning, pitch, every moment for this team matters. Keep this momentum, keep it going, and hopefully we can have more multi-home run Nathaniel Lowe games to talk about over the next couple of weeks as this team hopefully starts to heat up and make me regret saying at any point that they were going to be sellers at the trade deadline. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy World Series champion Texas Rangers baseball.